with the Olympics Games here, the discussion turns to what makes an athlete, or what is athleticism, or which sport features the best athletes. And that's a difficult question to answer. I tend to go with Ashton Eaton as the decathlon champion as the best athlete, because that's traditionally how we viewed the best athletes, as the decathlon is the greatest athlete in the world. But that's another subject for another day. What I want to concentrate on is what is athleticism. And again, when we talk about athleticism, or more genetically based traits is how I heard it, or innate traits as I heard it described today, typically we stop at speed, strength, and endurance. And then maybe add in arthropometric measurements, height, limb length, hand size, things of that nature. And so we look at that as athleticism, and everything else is skill. I tend to believe that coordination is part of the description of athleticism. And along with coordination, you get synchronicity of movement, kind of intermuscular coordination, interlimb coordination, rhythm, balance. I think all of these elements are part of deciding, what is and what isn't athleticism. And I think these attributes can be expressed in different ways. And so there are athletes who perform well because they are very explosive, but they're not quite as coordinated. And there are athletes who perform well because they're super coordinated, not quite as explosive. And so there are different types of athletes, but I wouldn't necessarily say that one is more athletic than another. And so the example would be somebody like Kevin Durant or Steph Curry. So Durant, when he entered the NBA, famously could not bench 185 pounds in the NBA combine test. And so if you're measuring athleticism, including strength as a measure of athleticism, he failed that test essentially, so he's not a great athlete. It's probably different now, but with his limb length and stuff, he's probably still not benching a ton of weight compared to, say, an American football player, somebody like that. Again, somebody like Steph Curry, who can dunk but rarely dunks, and Steve Nash before him were viewed as lesser athletes because they're not, explosive athletes in the same way that somebody like Russell Westbrook is explosive. And so somebody like Russell Westbrook is automatically kind of pictured as the more athletic player than somebody like Curry. My argument would be that when you watch somebody, the skills of somebody like Nash or Curry, the way that they shoot the ball, while that to me is 100% a skill, it's based on an athletic foundation. And so when you watch the way that they shoot, you can see their coordination, their synchronicity of movement, their rhythm, and their balance. They also have a great deal of strength that they're able to express when they stop quickly to shoot the ball. And I think that often goes overlooked. So I don't think it's as simple as saying, well, look at Russell Westbrook, fly down the court in less than 3 seconds, jump from the free throw line and dunk the ball, and hang on the rim and shout the whole time, and so he's more athletic, versus somebody like Curry, who dribbles through two people, pulls up on a dime and hits a three-pointer, turning his back on the basket and walking down the court. One is the more typically viewed athletic movement, and the other is the more typically viewed skilled movement. But I would argue that there are, each of them show a great deal of athleticism, whether it's the more powerful movement or it's the more coordinated, rhythmic, balance, synchronous movement of somebody like Steph Curry or Kevin Durant shooting the ball. And so when we talk about athleticism, to me, a great athlete has to have that coordination, synchronicity of movement, rhythm, and balance. Without those things, to me, you can be powerful, you can be fast, you can be strong, but without having the coordination and the balance and the rhythm, to me, you're just powerful, strong, fast. Now if you can combine that power, strength, speed with that coordination, the rhythm, the balance, the synchronicity of movement, those things, now we're talking about real, fully developed, true athletic greatness.